story. My life, my family is just part of a book. Another white asset deciding what I get to do, how I get to do it. He took my daughter from me. I'll never be free of this story. With him, he used her.
Why did you make Saga black?
Good evening. Diversity, equity, and inclusion. Fact, fiction, controversy, and reality. Tonight's episode is a mystery, one that follows the story of a federal agent in search of the missing writer Alan Wake. But the true question is whether Saga Anderson is a walking contradiction or forced inclusion. So, come with me as we journey in the collective mind place and discuss the phenomenon of how police are portrayed in video games. In Cops in Games.
Welcome back to Cops in Games. I'm Alejandro. I'm a TV cop talking about video game cops, and today we'll be talking about one of my favorites, Saga Anderson. We'll talk about her role in the narrative of Alan Wake 2, the real-life implications of her being a black woman and a federal agent, and how this game went from Alan Wake to Alan Woke. When you see this video, it'll probably be right around Halloween time when the final DLC for the game, The Lake House, comes out. So in the spirit of that, let's start this video off with something sweet. Baby Ink. Over the past few years, the games industry has seen a rise in online hate campaigns towards specific video games. We've seen this right-leaning movement hop between Alan Wake 2, Mortal Kombat 1, and most recently Assassin's Creed Shadows. Are you seeing a theme here? So when this crowd got word that Sweet Baby Inc., a third-party consulting firm specializing in inclusion and cultural consultation, was credited in Alan Wake, the floodgates opened.
The co-founder of Sweet Baby Inc. proudly explains the method that she uses to force bosses at game studios to censor, alter, and diversify game projects she feels are problematic, terrify them, aka threaten them with the anger of the cancel culture mob.
Writing in modern games sucks. One of the many reasons is Sweet Baby Incorporated.
This company has been ruining your favorite video games, and it's called Sweet Baby Inc.
Video games going woke these days is not just because of money, but it's something a lot more sinister than you think. This is Sweet Baby Incorporated.
This game was the perfect target, from Sweet Baby Inc., a black female protagonist being perceived as a DEI woke agenda being pushed, and the cherry on top, a white actress portraying Saga Anderson in the original concept trailer for Alan Wake 2. Plus, you kind of have to admit, Alan Woke writes itself. This game gave them everything to complain about. But meanwhile, the reasonable discourse from people actually playing the game was, hey, I think there might be one too many jump scares. While I think this game lacks as a survival horror title compared to something like Resident Evil, it's an experience I haven't been able to stop thinking about since I rolled credits a year ago. Remedy nailed what they set out to do, creating a house style and identity for the shared Remedyverse going forward. The blending of mediums, their insanely high-fidelity graphical tech, the art direction, and the music, all of it made me a fan and eager to see what's next. But we're here to talk about the cops. If you saw my last video about Marvel's Spider-Man, I spoke about copaganda and how pro-police media can affect public perception. Spider-Man openly glamorized unethical, unconstitutional policing, so compared to that, Alan Wake 2 is pretty low on my copaganda meter. I think they towed the line tastefully without sacrificing the aesthetic they were aiming for, and without pushing a dangerous pro-police bias. But I still did some research to see if anyone felt differently, and I found an article titled ACAB Includes Saga Anderson. The writer of this article argued Alan Wake 2 qualified as copaganda. Writing, but one thing I just can't get away from is the fact that, at the end of the day, Alan Wake 2 is yet another cop story. And I'm getting sick of cop stories. I agree, there are a lot of characters who represent some kind of law enforcement, even in the case of the supernatural. However, not every story with police is copaganda. There could be something making commentary on policing.
Motherfucker.
Satire.
Oh! Wait, what? I'm just goofing. New boot goofing.
Or what I believe in this case to be style over substance. Remedy was very clear as to what their inspirations were. Shows like True Detective, Twin Peaks, The X-Files, things that are surreal, that blend reality with the extraordinary. Of course, those shows could be delved into individually for their potential propaganda, but it genuinely seems like Sam Lake and company just wanted to emulate the vibes of a detective thriller. I also wouldn't classify this as a story about police. This is a story about creativity, art, hope, breaking cycles. Even as you progress through the story, the importance of Saga working as a federal agent kind of falls to the wayside. Eventually, she even abandons her field jacket as the narrative puts more focus towards her sweater and its meaning, thrusting her fully into the supernatural. But does her participation working for the FBI sanitize their violent image? Or does the picture of a black woman in a position of power deem her as a role model to strive towards? These were my questions as I played through this game, and it left me conflicted. Then I found this video called Playing as a Black Cop Gets Weird Quick, where this creator had a similar experience. Unlike the folks we were talking about earlier, I don't feel Remedy was trying to pull a fast one, making Saga a black woman, but there has been an effort in pro-police media to weaponize inclusivity. Tokenism, a helpful tool for institutions of law and order, as well as the show Law and Order. Copaganda needs the audience to see Olivia Benson as the girl boss who gets stuff done, a woman in power, a neoliberal role model. It allows the messaging from these shows and the studio structure behind them to operate with a veneer of inclusivity and impunity. So, when it comes to casting performers from marginalized communities in these roles, it is intentional. I'm a Latino actor. I know this from experience. Most auditions in my professional career have been for some kind of Mexican stereotype. So, when you cast someone from these backgrounds in a role that is higher in the social hierarchy, it gives those characters a status of power and a sense of value in maintaining the status quo. The model minority compared to the common criminal you see being played by the same demographic. Diversity that at best is used as a tool to portray an industry as more inclusive than it is, while at worst used as a weapon to discredit real claims of discriminatory police practices. Because a smart black woman like Saga wouldn't be a cop if the police were as racist as people say, right? Just like Alan writing stories that can change reality, copaganda can as well. So when writers ignore or omit the flaws in our justice system, it's meant to sedate the audience, allowing unjust practices to continue, such as people being convicted for crimes they didn't commit.
The state of Missouri executed 55-year-old Marcellus Williams on Tuesday over objections from the local prosecutor. Williams was convicted for the 1998 killing of Leisha Gale. Earlier this year, the St. Louis County prosecutor filed a motion to overturn Williams' conviction, citing a lack of evidence in the original case, ineffective counsel, and racial discrimination in jury selection.
By now, you may have heard of Marcellus Williams. Marcellus was wrongfully incarcerated on death row for 24 years for a murder he did not commit. When new DNA evidence was found proving his innocence, exonerating him from the crime, everyone from the family members of the murder victim to the jury and prosecutor who convicted him realized the evidence was in his favor and that he was innocent. But on September 24th, 2024 at 6 p.m., the state of Missouri chose to execute him anyway. This is a story that is hardly covered in any type of media, and sadly, seen far too often in reality. Over 200 people since 1973 have been given the death penalty and were later exonerated with new evidence. That's scarier than anything you'd see in the dark place. I don't think Alan Wake 2 perpetuates the type of messaging that can lead to a story like Marcellus's. But I think an experience like it can help us look inward, inspire us, so we can light the way and escape this cycle of violence. Because it's not a loop, it's a spiral. Watch a movie, play a game, be kind.